It will be too late for most guys to realize this fact, but it's here. You're not her, but the prize. Some of you were already triggered by that one statement, and that's precisely the issue. These days, a lot of men have been psychologically prepared. Yes, they're taught to think they're meant to pursue, show, plead, act, and confirm just to attract a woman who only contributes appearance and entitlement to the table. The storyline changed somewhere along the line, and now, even in their personal interactions, powerful men are cautious. I'm here to explain why. It's not just incorrect, it's risky. Here's the truth, you see. Number one is informing you. She is more in need of you. Then you must her. Not that you're superior to her, not due of her weakness, but rather because in Rael's dynamism, attractiveness, and worth are more than only beauty. It has to do with power and you. Man has a lot more of it than you might imagine. Now, before you jump to the defense, take a moment to reflect on what society has taught you. When you're at ease, concentrated, creating your life, making investments in your objectives, your mission, your money and health, who is more sought after? You, the steady, self-assured, a man who is emotionally in charge, is uncommon. She is aware of that and longs for it regardless of either allowed or not. However, this is what has happened to men in the current era. They've disarmed. Media disarming, romantic ideologies, by the notion that leadership in certain partnerships are oppressive. Thus, many males now enter connections in the hopes of being selected by her rather than making their own informed decision. You've changed from being a standard to a servant, a performer to a head. Let's be clear about this. A woman desires to respect and admire her man. Him, sense his presence without his constant chatter, and sense his assurance, feel his protection without him being combative, without him boasting. However, when you begin to act as though her presence is a favor to you, you get rid of everything. You also lose her allure. She may remain, but the changes in dynamics. The emotional beggar is now you. She makes the decision. You turn into reactive. It is she who gains authority. And in the dynamics of a relationship, power is everything. This is something that most men never learn. Additionally, the cost is substantial. It's everywhere you look. Men who are always nervous about being abandoned. Men who fear speaking up. Men on guard, moving about. What does she want now, I wonder? Men who give their all just to be heard, they are insufficient. Why? Because they initially shown their worth. This is the harsh reality. She won't value you if she thinks you don't value yourself, you or both. She will set the tone if you don't, and it's likely that you won't enjoy it. Women take tests. They contest. They are designed to seek out strength, not because they are bad. Stability. Additionally, if you're emotionally unstable and always attempting to win her approval, accepting everything and letting go of your own ideals in order to, you don't pass the test, so keep the peace. However, if you remain true to yourself, if you pass even though it's obvious that you don't need her, it's not about being aloof or conceited. It's about recognizing your value. It's about moving from requiring her to stay to accepting her walking. That's when the power changes. She then begins to pursue you. I have a question for you. Why do women usually pursue the men who are most attractive to them? The ones who don't appear to need them as much? It goes beyond confidence. It's the air of disinterest. The force that declares, I desire you, yet in any case, I'll be all right. She's intrigued by that serene power. She leans in because of that mystery. She respects you because of your discipline. However, the man who texts and gives everything away on the first day frequently, cancels his plans for her, delivers presents too early, and says he eliminates the attraction before it even begins by saying things like, "You're out of my league," begins. She is not interested in becoming your mission. She wishes to join a man who is already in a relationship. The purpose of this film is not to disparage women, not even close. Men need to be awakened from the misconception that love entails loss. It doesn't. It takes two strong people for there to be true love, but you will always be the one who is weak, dependent, and uncertain, suffers. I'm changing the script today. We're examining the psychology of power dynamics in relationships, how women react to it, how men unintentionally lose it, and how to get it again without being frigid, poisonous, or manipulative. Because once more, she is more in need of you than you are. Upon realizing that, everything changes. First, give up chasing. Make a decision. Let's obtain one item straight. It's not manly to chase. Selecting is. Additionally, if you choose to move, the authority in your partnerships, you must cease behaving like a hunter, anxious for food, and begin to make decisions akin to a monarch choosing a queen. This is where the majority of males go. False. They have been taught to believe they must continuously gain a woman's acceptance. Boys are instructed from an early age to compete for her attention, to go above and beyond, to wow, to flatter, like she is the object of admiration. What then occurs? As they grow up, they think that they lose if they don't pursue. Here's the reality, though. Chasing turns the power balance right from the start. When pursuing, you're stating one thing clearly and unequivocally: I am not as valuable as you are. I require you to prove my value. While that vigor may appear romantic in films, in reality life, it encourages disrespect and eliminates desire. Why? Since you're presenting yourself as someone who wants to be chosen rather than a person who harvests. Women are particularly sensitive to this energy. They are aware when a man makes an excessive effort. Additionally, even while they could relish the attention for a moment, they become disinterested as quickly. It's too simple because of you. You've created you're too accessible. She is now the one making decisions because of you, and before the relationship started, you relinquished your authority. Selecting on is anchored in contrast. Quiet confidence. It's the capacity to perceive, acknowledge, and value beauty without becoming under its control. A man who makes a decision is assessing rather than pursuing. He's not making an effort to use meaningless gestures to please her. He's observing. He's paying attention. Is this woman in line with my principles, my goals, and my mission? That energy, serenity, is alluring. It's not common. She leans forward because she's the one being watched now, rather than utterly adored. Let's make it a reality. Have you ever observed how the man who appears that the lady she desires the most is frequently the one who is least interested in her? The someone who doesn't bother her, doesn't text her constantly, and doesn't ask for time. It's not due to his rudeness. The reason for this is that he is not emotionally reliant. He is in charge. He is picky, and that enigma generates magnetism. Let's explore further. Consider a gathering with two males. The initial, when a gorgeous woman is spotted, one instantly tries to win her over, her purchasing beverages, giggling at every joke, and giving her praise her constantly. He focuses all of his attention on her. In the she gives a courteous grin for the first 5 minutes, but in her heart she's bored already. The second person enters now. He observes her, but he takes his time. Over. He is gregarious, composed, talkative, and has fun. After a while, their gazes lock. When they do speak, he doesn't make her feel good. He stares her in the eye, asks daring questions, and keeps his body in place. She finds him fascinating not because he made an effort, but rather because he made less attempts. He wasn't trying to find her. He was deciding if she belonged in his universe at all. Can you see the difference? The initial, the guy made her the goal. She was suggested as a potential inclusion to an existing mission. And women like that kind of man. Honor, adore, and go after. The lesson. Avoid throwing your crown on the ground simply due to her beauty. Your worth isn't determined by the number of you can pursue women. It is determined by your capacity for stillness, concentration, to take deliberate action. You lose that center when you chase. You start acting impulsively. You provide her complete authority before she's even caught your eye. Selecting is not the same. Selecting is strong. It indicates that you know exactly what you desire. You're not trying to cover a gap. You have no intention of proving anything. You're not pleading for approval. The task is done by you. You're concentrating on your life, your objectives, and your development. And it's fantastic if she aligns with that vision. If no, you continue to move. The worst part is still to come. After you give up pursuing the proper, when women discover that you're not needy, they begin to choose you. You're not desperate. You aren't having fun. You're a man who is aware of his contributions, and that alone gives you 10 times the attractiveness of any man attempting to purchase her time with diligence. Therefore, the next time you feel pressured to go too far, pause. Consider whether I'm choosing out of strength or out of fear. Due to wild choosing says, let's see if she's worth it. Chasing says, I hope she wants me. My energies. Your dating life can be completely transformed by that one mental adjustment, and it begins now. Secondly, love is not the same as attention. Modern men are aware of relationships. Therefore, let's eliminate a falsehood that is obstructing the path. She doesn't necessarily love you just because she pays attention to you. There are too many males. Conflate a small amount of interest with a strong emotional commitment. She laughs at your jokes, responds to your texts, even makes a passing flirtation, and all of a sudden, you're certain she's the one. However, what you're lacking is the fact that receiving attention is free, and for certain women, it's simply a habit rather than a commitment. The unsettling reality is that some women will provide you with attention merely to maintain your presence, not because they desire you, but because they enjoy your desire for them. That is ego, not love, maintenance. And if you don't figure that out now, you'll end up in a circumstance in which you're investing time, effort, passion, and allegiance into someone who is simply providing you with token affirmation in exchange. You'll believe even though you're only orbiting, you're in a relationship. Let's put this into reality. You meet a woman. She seemed interested. She's attractive. You speak, and she responds right away. You begin spending time with her after she gives you a compliment, but then something happens. She begins to distance herself, react more slowly, and act aloof. She doesn't respond when you ask her what's wrong, saying she's simply busy. I'm trying to figure things out. I'm not ready, but you're cute. You're separated, and all of a sudden you're in this strange emotional limbo. Even if you're not dating, you feel connected, accountable. You continue to chase the thrills of the initial attention, believing that if I only attempt a little more difficult, perhaps she will change her mind, but she doesn't because she was never truly in. She provided you with emotional sparks, but not love, not investment. She held you accountable while maintaining you became a source of amusement, a diversion, and a backup for her. Strategy, and you failed to notice it sooner since you believed it would attract attention. Was love, which is why this piece is so important. You must understand the distinction between emotional commitment and emotional curiosity. Because although receiving attention is enjoyable at the time, it's not a basis you. It fades, flips, manipulates, and may be built upon. Worst of all, it leads decent guys to believe that they are in partnerships that never really existed. Let me explain. In this case, there is he meets a woman at work, and she frequently gives him compliments. They go out for coffee. At night, she texts him and they discuss life. He thinks, wow, she notices me. She understands me. In the meantime, she's dating someone else, yet she feels seen, validated, and emotionally safe with him. He turns into the emotional boyfriend since he's constantly available, without ever straying into romance, and he's unaware of it because he's riveted into her focus, thinking it was the start of love. She never lied. She made no promises, yet here's what transpires after the fantasy was constructed using the signals she sent. His anger stems not from her wrongdoing, but rather from he knows in his heart that he emotionally invested himself in someone who never made a choice. Completely. He feels taken advantage of, but the reality, he disregarded the warning flags. Love is expensive. Attention is cheap. Appears, invests, and makes sacrifices. Love makes commitments. So how can you safeguard yourself? Easy. Focus on consistency rather than intensity. Some women may start acting aggressively right away. Texts, calls, praise, even intimacy, but vanish as soon as you give up pursuing it. That wasn't love, a test of their ability to get as much as possible from you. But a woman who truly loves you will continue to appear even after the thrill wears off. She will be steady, not merely kind. She will listen, give, and grow with you even when things aren't enjoyable. What love does. You don't have to be cold or suspicious, just be direct. Do you think she's reliable or only convenient? Is it the way I make her feel, or does she value me? Don't be confused about whether she is constructing with me or only keeping me around. A woman may find you admirable if you combine emotional commitment with emotional attention. She may be attracted to you, but it doesn't imply she's ready to commit to a relationship. You must see past the emojis, past the moments, past the flattery. And is this really going anywhere? Because if you continue to chase, you'll feel insecure no matter what. But if you start demanding commitment by being faithful and consistent, you'll be able to sort out the misunderstanding. The change occurs when you cease being accessible to women who only provide you focus. You create room for the one who is prepared to show you affection. Thus, the slow down the next time a woman shows interest and observe how she motions. Check to see if she invests when you're focused and not chasing. On you. Allow her to arrive with more than simply because a lady who genuinely cares about you won't try to predict you. 3. When you plead, let's discuss something that most guys have experienced, but few ever acknowledge. You lose the instant you begin pleading for her love, time, or attention, something from deep inside you. It's power, not simply pride. No guy begins off begging. You start with self-assurance and a goal, and you're doing what you're supposed to do. Your thing. You're not obsessing about texts or making drastic changes to your entire life. Surrounding her, yet at some point that shifts. Perhaps she withdraws a bit, becomes less approachable, begins to behave aloof and without even being aware of it. You begin to bend, reach, and fixing a connection that is slipping through your fingers by overcompensating. The change occurs at this point when a man begins pleading, whether it's he gives up his emotional frame in search of love, clarity, or attention. He places himself as the pursuer, not in a forceful, definitive manner, but in a reactive, needy manner. And you must realize that neediness is not love. In her view, it's weakness. She senses it, even if you don't say it aloud. And the more you push, the more she draws away. And the reason is that begging conveys this message, something I can't live without. Your value is immediately destroyed by that message. This is the painful part. When she notices that you're prepared to plead, she is in charge. She is aware, and she doesn't need to gain your time. Invest emotionally. She doesn't even need to be present all the time because she is aware of you'll remain there regardless of her behavior. This is how power shifts. You give her emotional control. You allow her to decide when you're content. Additionally, when you're not, you give away your manhood and ask women to continue boosting your self-esteem. Yet most guys overlook this. We're valuable before she arrived, and even if she departs, you will still be useful. Her response was never meant to determine your value, and if it does, you've lost more than you've lost yourself in a relationship. Begging doesn't appear romantic. It looks forceful. It appears to be desperation, and individuals in desperation uneasy. It doesn't encourage intimacy. She starts to wonder why you need her so much, since the man who understands his value would never beg. After establishing a norm, he would express himself, and if he would go with dignity if that wasn't met. But the one who begs stays around when she ignores him, and when she retreats, he makes a greater effort. To keep the peace, he apologizes for something he didn't even do. In the method, he teaches her not to believe him. Let that sink in. You lose your respect when you beg. You may still be in her life and be accepted, yet you are no longer in charge of it. As soon as you recognize this, you return your authority. You must quit pursuing emotional crumbs. You must quit attempting to demonstrate you must quit lingering for someone who isn't returning the favor. Equally, you don't become cold because of it, indicates that you are grounded and that your feelings are no longer determined by her actions, indicating that your sense of self-worth stems from your goal, not her approval. The more you plead, the less apparent you become. Great, but others start to notice when you stop. When she starts to wonder why your energy changed, she begins to realize that you're don't wait till you're empty since you're independent and decisive. Hold off until your boundaries are broken and don't allow anyone to make you feel inferior in a relationship that you weren't meant to beg for. First of all, you're here to develop emotional support, not to plead. Control. Let's be totally honest. Shock attraction. Too many guys have lost their emotional strength, and it's not because they lack sentiments, but because they allow those sentiments to dictate their behavior. And here's the truth. A man who lacks emotional self-control will never win in a romantic relationship. That doesn't mean you have to be emotionless in life. Women aren't attracted to males who weep at them. Thus, you need to be grounded. Every failure, anger at every argument, or fear at every. They are attracted to males who are able to feel without losing their composure. Power, even when it seems like everything is out of control. And power in. Although it is extremely beautiful in its purest form, most men nowadays overreact to everything. They spiral after just one unopened SMS. After receiving a chilly reaction, they begin pleading for approval. They argue like teenagers trying to prove a point after only one argument. Let's face it, this is emotional immaturity, not strength. Women sense that immediately, and she may not even be able to articulate it. However, she loses when a man is unable to control his emotions. Trust. Instead of seeing a leader, she now sees a responsibility. Guys, you need to wake up. You've been lied to. You've been informed that letting all of your feelings out without restraint is genuine. However, genuineness and recklessness are not the same thing. Being authentic entails processing information in addition to feeling things. Recklessness is a thoughtless reaction. Think things through and answer clearly, exploding, pouting, or giving up when under duress. If you wish to be, you must cease being dominated by others and yourself, as well as by her, by emotional noise. When you maintain your composure, even when she puts you to the test, you don't react out of insecurity. Instead, you remain silent. When you maintain your composure in the face of overwhelming emotions, she feels affection, attraction, and respect that she is unable to articulate. The majority of males nowadays are overly sentimental, which makes you uncommon. They break down, overshare too soon, and crave continual reassurance. Instead of listening, they argue to win at the first hint of opposition. To comprehend, after that, they question why women begin to lose interest. Give this some time to sink in. She can control you if you allow your emotions to do so. She won't feel safe with you and will feel accountable once she has power over you. For you. A lady wants to know. She doesn't want to bear that weight. That if life throws you a curveball, you won't give up. And if she's upset, you'll stabilize it if you replicate it. You will not panic when you test your limitations. Instead, you will calmly reaffirm them. This isn't about controlling your emotions, about repressing them, about possessing the self-control to stop, reflect, and act clearly, not motivated by fear or a desire for approval. And here's some information that could be painful if you haven't developed yourself, and you constantly losing your emotional control around women. The hard pill that most guys dodge is up enough. If you were completely focused on developing your body, mind, money, and purpose, you would be too busy to obsess over every text. Here's your challenge. You're busy being the man you were destined to be. Become the man who feels powerful without requiring emotional approval. The man who is able to hear no without becoming upset. The man who can leave disregard without a spectacular moment. The man who can love completely without losing himself in it, since ultimately nowadays, a man's wealth, physique, or other physical attributes are not the most alluring aspects of him. His capacity to remain composed in the face of pandemonium is what makes him so charming. 5. She tests you to identify a leader. Be that man. Many men take it personally, and when a woman confronts them, she becomes irritable, questions your choices, suppresses her energy, or even shows signs of doubt. And most guys begin to doubt themselves rather than stand tall. They get insecure, chase harder, and react emotionally. However, you must realize that she is not constantly trying to harm you. She is putting you to the test in order to identify a leader. Women don't intentionally design these tests. It is innate, subliminal, and part of their character. The reason is straightforward. She must understand that you are capable of leading, not just leading. If she's going to offer you her, then lead yourself. She must feel that she has time, trust, and emotional vulnerability. You can defend yourself, you're stable, and you won't break under duress. Only her body, but her tranquility. Therefore, when she retreats, when she disagreements, when she questions your viewpoint, when she observes how you answering is a question, not usually an act of disrespect, can I trust this man's direction? And the instant you start acting impulsively, getting too passionate, or attempting to, you failed that test. Please find a method to relax. You demonstrate to her that she is in control and that you are too easily influenced. You demonstrate to her that you are not a leader. Pay attention to her feelings. Then the desire begins to wane. Her senses tell her this, not because she's harsh. A man doesn't possess a backbone, so rather than becoming alarmed when a woman challenges you, don't back down. Rather than pleading for, show her that your body is powerful and that you're not a test taker. You can love her, want her, and care for her without changing your values for approval. Despite this, she continued to lead since ultimately she doesn't want to be in control of the partnership. She desires to sense your presence, your leadership that is grounded and clear, even when things get chaotic, and she feels that. She ceases testing and begins to trust. This is the most contentious. I may anger some people with what I say during this entire video. But if you need to hear it, if you're a man who wants to take back control, behaving as though she is the prize, you are. Yes, I did say that. And before, let's be clear so that nobody makes assumptions. This isn't about ego. It is about balance, not disrespect. There are far too many men who think that if they can only get her to like them, if they can just maintain her happiness, they can demonstrate their worth. Expenses. They have achieved success in life, yet they are unaware that as soon as they embrace this viewpoint, they devalue themselves. You can't lead from that position. You can't draw people in, and you undoubtedly incapable of establishing a healthy connection. You are the reward once you've established yourself up. When you're motivated, when you're emotionally powerful, when you possess vision, act with self control, and distance yourself from disrespect, when you are aware of who you are and don't require someone else to define it for you. That individual is unique, and unique things are valued, but useful things don't beg. They decide. The purpose of this movie was not to disparage women, but to men, you need to wake up because far too many of you live as though you're fortunate to have a woman's time. But in actuality, if you reached your greatest ability, she would consider myself fortunate to get selected at all. That's the shift. So I'd like to hear from you. Have you ever found yourself in a circumstance where you let go of your power? Were you begging, chasing, or losing yourself in an attempt to maintain her interest? Don't hold back, be honest, and share your tale in the comments. I want to provide a forum where males may speak openly and shamelessly. I'll be reading your remarks. I'll be answering. I'd want to get in touch with you directly. Since this is more than just a single video, it's about reviving a generation of males who are aware of their value and do not exchange it for acceptance. Therefore, this is a call to action for all the men in attendance. Stop living like she's the focal point of your universe and begin to live as though you are the cornerstone of your own. For when you move like a man with strength, direction, and tranquility, she is aware of your attraction. So don't chase,